Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFE-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
Some mice on it, and there we are. Finally, internet's going to be like we got a lot on the internet. We got everybody stuck in their houses. They got a heater going, and they probably got the internet going just to have something to do. There's not a whole lot on TV on a Thursday night to watch. Anyway, hopefully it'll speed up a little bit after a while. Maybe some people will go to bed because, of course, all the kids are out of school, so everybody's up late. They're watching all the frost, hoping for snow. It's not going to snow much here. We would get a dusting at absolute most. But we do have a low temperature of about 8 degrees, which is unheard of for southeast Arkansas this time of year. It just doesn't happen. If it does, it's usually in February, which is the coldest month down here. But anyway, Bayou Bartholomew's got some ice. But let's cut out the Bayou talk and let's go straight to Jill Shelley. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Len?
for Southerner, I'm chilly. But it's a lot colder. It's a lot colder where you are.
Yes, Minnesota. It's currently 11 degrees below zero. We're going to get a little colder with some wind chills. Probably going to be minus 30. But that's normal. You were saying 25 earlier for Arkansas. I'm like, that's a heat wave down here. So.
Well, enough about the weather. How and why did you get involved in Paranormal?
Well, I've always been like a weird kid. So just always fascinated by ghosts and
Aren't
the
we all?
paranormal in general. So I like my first experience was at my grandma's house. I kind of feel, I think I had other things I don't really remember, but just kind of always remember being in tune. But at my grandma's house, she had a room that none of us kids liked at all. It was always cold. You always felt like something was staring at you, looking at you, that it didn't want you in that room. But one particular night I was sleeping in what's the girls' room, which was next to that room. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard footsteps coming out of that room. And then it stood in front of my door and I had my back turned to the door. And I was maybe 8, 9 or something. So I was too terrified to turn around, but I could feel it like staring through me, like almost like, I don't know, like if somebody was like beams of light at your back or something. That's almost what I felt like. And then it kind of just took a big, big sigh and it like turned around and you could hear the footsteps walk back into the other room. My parents were sleeping. I could hear both of them snoring. My grandma sleeps downstairs. So the next day I just kind of casually mentioned it. My parents were like, no, we never got up in the middle of the night. And my grandma, who's very religious and I look up to her a lot, said, oh my gosh, honey, that's just a ghost and he won't hurt you. And so then I was kind of at that point, like, oh my gosh, I got to learn more about these things. Like, what is it? Where are they? So I just spent many, many years just reading books and going to the library and watching documentaries and movies. To learn more about ghosts. And then with the advent of the television series coming out with the ghost hunters and things like that, made me go, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could like actually go out and do this. So that in 2010, I met a great group of people and we formed a team, St. Croix Paranormal, and started investigating. So that's kind of where it all began. So it just started as a journey in 2010 to where I'm at today.
How did you meet the people? And if you don't mind, if they don't mind, could you give the names of the people who's in this St. Croix? I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
Yep, St. Croix. Yeah, we live in. Well, we started originally in St. Croix County, and the St. Croix River was right there, so that's how we came up with the name. But so originally it was founded with me and a guy I work with, Steve, who's no longer with us. He's still really interested. He just doesn't have the time anymore. But him and I just started off with as becoming friends and talking about horror movies, and then one day we started talking about ghosts, and then we were like realized we had that same common thing. And he said, oh, I've been doing a little investigating. So we started investigating together, and then just started reaching out and finding more people. We came across Donna, who is still with us. Her sister-in-law actually worked with us and said, oh my God, you got to meet my sister-in-law. And Donna and I actually met for the first time in a cemetery. So we went and investigated a cemetery, and we've been pretty much best friends ever since. And then Alex just hit us up one day, just contacted us to see if we were looking for any team members. And we actually were at that time, and we ended up meeting him and we liked him. So we took him on. And then Teresa was actually a friend of Steve's, who had been in another paranormal group and had left that group. And so she joined us, and we're best friends as well. So we're all just one big happy family now. So we've had a few people come and go, but those are probably the main group is Alex, Donna, and Teresa. So we're almost like a foursome. So they are my family.
That's cool. It's hard to find good paranormal members for a group.
Oh yeah.
I've
And
got to be a member of
especially
a couple. It's hard to get them together.
Yep. And it's getting harder as we're growing up. So we've had a lot of life changes. So last year we traveled quite a bit with not everybody and some of people. So we might take a little bit more of a step back in 2023 as far as going to well-known haunted locations, just because with all our lifestyle changes at this point, we'll concentrate on just probably the Boyd House at this point, maybe one or two trips. But yeah, we've had just so many incredible journeys. We started our team with just doing private homes and businesses, and then we decided to branch out a little bit and do some of those well-known haunted locations that you have to pay to go to. So we've kind of traveled all over. I think the farthest we've gone is Ohio, and then I think Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan. So we try, kind of stay in like a 6-8 state. We're getting old now. We call ourselves a geriatric group. So because we laugh because we travel with heating pads and aches and pains and ailments and whatnot. So I think we're going to have to start keeping it a little bit closer to home, unfortunately. If we could fly, that would be great, but it's just not feasible with the amount of equipment we have.
Yes, they look at you funny with a bunch of strange electronic equipment getting on a plane nowadays.
I know. I thought, can you imagine bringing a REM pod on? I totally know they would think it was a bomb. You would have to have a video, a paper. You'd have to have so much to explain that this is not a bomb. So yeah, we haven't done the flying thing. So it's usually just pack her up in the van and figure out how many hours you got to go.
Exactly. How did you find the house? And when did you find it? How long did it take you to buy it?
Well, in 2018, so all our traveling to well-known haunted locations is what kind of keyed me into like, this would be super cool if you could have your own place to do research, allow others to do research.
Of course.
So 2018, financially, I was able to achieve that goal. So looking for a haunted house, it's not like many people advertise their house is haunted. And so my realtor was really cool. Like she knew, yeah, she knew what I was looking for. So it was up to me to just find things. She was just the intermix of, hey, this is what I want, go set it up. And then I would come down to places that I thought maybe were haunted or got the feeling. I'm not psychic or anything, but I feel like I have a really good intuition, especially when we're investigating. I really can feel when they're around, but I also can kind of feel like I can look at a place and go, yep, there's definitely something about this place. So we did look at a few places. Nothing that really is like, oh my gosh, made me want to buy it. But when I came across the Boyd house, it was one of those instantaneously, like, like this is the one. Like I knew. And I almost immediately became obsessed with it because even before I went down there, I kept looking at pictures and I just kept like feeling like this is it. This has got to be it. Went down there. Donna came down with me. The realtor was running a little bit late. So we were just kind of sitting outside talking, and all of a sudden I just turned to her and I'm like, do you feel like something's looking at you? And she's like, yeah, from the attic window. I really feel like something's staring down at us. We went in the house. You had that feel something was there. It was kind of staying a little far away, kind of not sure what was going on. House had been vacant for about almost a year. People had lived in it for 30 years prior to moving out, but it had been vacant for a year. So not really anybody much coming by really. And so we ran the spirit box and I had a woman say, who are you? Which would make sense because, we're strangers and probably they don't understand probably what was going on. And then we had a REM pod up in one of the bedrooms and that went off in like 8 minutes. And we had a couple other few little things. So I was just kind of like, I don't know, is that, enough to buy it? So I reached out to a psychic medium that I really, really trusted. And she after the year, a couple months of owning it, a lot of things that she told me were dead spot on. And she just told me all kinds of, she's like, oh, there's 6 spirits there. There's men, women, and children. Just all kinds of stuff that came true. What I found fascinating though, is she said, the first night you stay there, you're going to meet the guy coming in through the back door, which I didn't think about it till later, which it did happen. I did have an experience, but she said when I spent the night, I hadn't made an offer. I hadn't made a decision yet. So she already kind of knew that I was going to go through with this purchase. And so my last final thing was like, okay, should I go off that? Okay, how about we just talk to the owners? I mean, they surely must have had something. They lived there for 30 years. They were an older couple at that time. So back in the day, if you talked about hauntings, you were nuts. So they were very hesitant to talk about things, but she did say the house was very funny. Always thought it was funny. She said that she would hear old time music playing sometimes. I reached out to her children who are now adults in their 30s, and they had so many different experiences at that house. Their friends who stayed over had many experiences. Since owning the house, we have had people come up to us who said, oh, I stayed there overnight once when I was a child or a young kid, and this is what happened. So there's just a long, long history of hauntings at the house. And so with all that information, I went through and purchased it and opened it up for other people to come in and investigate as well.
Okay. Did you see the banner that I made for the show tonight?
Yes, I did. It was very cool.
I put that down at the bottom. I put a link to a very, very nice write-up I found on the Boyd house. I knew I had the right name as write-up.
Yeah.
Who was that? Was that a friend of yours, or just somebody that came by getting information, or how did you become such a nice write-up on the internet?
I try to make the house as welcoming as I can for investigators. And I think being one myself, as we have traveled, we try to think of things that people would like, things that people are looking for when they go to a haunted location. So we try to provide those services for people. and of course, my spirits. I can't have a haunted house without my spirits. And so I spend a lot of time with my spirits, talking to them as I am talking to you. So it's never, I don't spend a lot of time like, hey, can you touch this? Can you do this for me? They do that. And a lot of times they will do it on command for me. But I also spend most of my time, because one thing I didn't think about is when you have a house, you have to maintain it and clean it and repair it and do a lot of stuff to it. So I don't get to investigate quite as much as I personally would like to there. But when I'm there, I usually have a voice recorder running. Sometimes I'll just throw a REM pod out. But I just talk to them. Like I will just sit there. And one time I was rambling on and on about my week, and that I had a wedding coming up, and wondering if had they been to weddings before. And I just kept talking and talking. And I got an EVP later that day, which, obviously I didn't hear it at the time. But it was this woman with a really kind of scratchy voice, like that. And since I was talking, I bleated out some of the stuff that she said. But in the end, when I finally shut up, she said, "I'm trying to sleep." So here I feel like this poor woman was trying to take a nap, and I'm in there yammering on about my week and the day and stuff. So, but we do try to do a lot for our spirits. I ask them quite frequently of things that, they like. What would they like me to do? And we bring them lots of presents. So I think they like that.
Cool. But that like I said, that was a very good write up. You're lucky to have that. That was impressive. Sounding as I read it. Uh, Tell people how to outside of going to the website, which is here, right there. Uh, how what kind of what do you charge, if you don't mind me asking that? And how do they find the Boyd House?
So you can go to the boydhouse217.com, or you can find us on Facebook under Boyd House. Our email, same thing, boydhouse217@yahoo. If you want to get a hold of us. So we just charge, try to keep it real feasible. I got to cover some costs though. So we just charge $200 a night. You can bring up to 8 of your friends and have a great time. And I like to keep the time real open, so you can come in at 3 p.m. and then you don't have to leave till noon the next day. So I kind of feel like you can come in, you can get your stuff set up, then you can get some dinner, you can investigate, you can sleep a little bit before you got to go. So yeah, we try to make it real reasonable, and we were open to other people. Sometimes they have some requests, and if I feel like it's something good, I'm willing to work with people.
That's 21 hours.
Yeah. I always hated the places you go to and they're like, you have to leave at 4 a.m. I'm like, why? I need to sleep. I just, or, because especially if, you come from so far away, a lot of people, even if it's like a 3 or 4 hour drive, you want to, I'd rather have somebody have a great time, get some rest, and have fun and be safe on your way home. So, and I don't live there, so it's really, it's not inconvenient to me in any way. So, and again, like I said, being an investigator, being at other places, we always used to sit, even before we had the idea of buying a place. It's like, oh, if we had our own place, I'd do this. I would do this. This is what I'd change. So just kind of things we've added. We also, for fun, we have a pizza maker. We provide coffee. We have some snacks based upon availability. So yeah, we're fully functioning. So you can actually come, 365 days a year. If you want to brave the snow and the cold in the wintertime, we are heated. Sometimes you just can't get there though. The roads are too bad. But yeah, we have heat, and then we have window air conditioning.
You have a couple of window units for the summer, because I know if you go up there on July, it's going to be a little bit warm even up there.
Yes, it gets very hot and very humid. It's it's not the greatest. So yeah, it's they're not the best, but it will keep you cool enough to where you're not dying and sweating. So
right. That sounds like you've really got your act together. That's a fair price for that long a period of time. Uh, yeah, you say they want to come in at 3 o'clock. Do they have to stay in their car, or is there some place for them to sit down? You got a kind of chill and relax room for them to kind of stay in.
Yeah, we've totally redone that house actually. So when we got it, we brought it back to the 1900s as much as we possibly could. So we put up like the old Victorian wallpaper. We filled it up with antique furniture, and you're allowed to sit on it. Nothing's that fragile to where we're like, don't sit on that. So we have a couch. We actually have a bed that people can sleep in. There's just one. Most people bring air mats and cots and things like that. Reclining chairs. So it's fully functioning. We have the kitchen. So it's good. We have a little library, so there's a couple chairs up there, and just all. It's a very cozy home. I've tried to make it creepy yet comfortable.
Sounds like a great place.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's different stuff that goes on all the time. Like for me, when I go, it's never the same. I can hear audible voices one time. I can hear footsteps another time. Doors opening. I just recently was down there a couple weeks ago, and I picked $1 up off the table. Somebody left a dollar bill, and as I walked up, they swore at me out loud. They called me a bee. And I was just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have took the $1 off the table. So, and then I was in the kids' room, and I audibly heard like a child, because I had brought him a toy, but I was again very busy cleaning and doing stuff, and so I just like had earlier thrown the toy in there and explained it and was like, hey, thanks, and popped back in and said, hey, how do you like this? And as I walked out, I had heard. Like, I didn't know what they said, but I had heard a little boy say 2 words. And I think that same day, too, I had bought one of our spirits is Fred Eckert. He had passed away in the home. I have a feeling he likes birds for some reason. I have a really strong feeling for that. So was at an antique shop, and I had found this, like, robin bird on a tree or something. So I brought that, put it on the piano and threw the REM pod up there and just said, hey, if you like this, just hit this, let me know. And that thing did not stop on and off for like an hour. So he really liked that little bird that I brought him. So yeah, we get everything. We get a lot of equipment interaction. Yep, a lot of equipment interaction. My husband has actually seen, which makes me so jealous because I've been doing this for how long and only seen one shadow figure. He actually saw a full-fledged apparition on the stairwell, and he is not a ghost. He's not a ghost.
Grail.
I know, and it's like after 12 years, nothing for me. And he's not into, like, he believes in the paranormal, but it's not his thing, So usually when he comes with me, it's because he's got to fix something, or he's helping. So investigating. He usually will just sit down and just chill out. He doesn't even follow me around the house anymore. But yeah, he said he was carrying some stuff in from the front. He just looked up at the staircase, and he had saw a woman with long brown hair, but she was all in white. And then for a second, he thought it was me, and then he looked again, and she was gone. So I was just like, oh, sure, fine. Wow. You got to see her. I didn't. And then there was another night he woke up to rustling in the bedroom. Or no, he heard me, or he thought he heard me yelling at him. So that's what woke him up. He heard somebody yelling at him. And then he woke up and he realized it wasn't me. And then he heard some movement at the end of the bed. And he thought I was getting up to go to the bathroom or something. And then he looked down and I was still sleeping. And he looked at the end of the bed and he saw like this blackish figure standing at the end of the bed. He's like almost like a skeleton face staring at him. He said when they locked eyes, then it like just shot up in the air and went up into the ceiling. It was gone. But yeah, I hear footsteps all the time when I'm sleeping upstairs. I've actually heard when the team is there. Usually I'll just sleep up in the bedroom by myself, and because they stay up a lot later than I do. And so I'll just sleep upstairs, and there's old floor grates, and like I said, so you can hear what's going on with people. And I just woke up, at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice and peaceful. I'm just going to lay here. I don't hear anything going on, so I don't think they're up. And then all of a sudden I started hearing women's voices talking. And I was like, okay, so the girls are up. I'm going to go down. So I go downstairs. They're all dead asleep. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, I think I'll just go down in the basement and I'll start tidying up in the basement. So I go down in the basement, I start cleaning up, and then all of a sudden I just kind of start hearing footsteps walking around upstairs. So I thought, oh my gosh, surely the girls have to be upstairs and awake now. So then I go upstairs and I kind of look around and they're still sleeping. I'm like, okay, these spirits, it must really be messing with me. So then I'm just kind of sitting there in the kitchen. All of a sudden, then I hear footsteps going on upstairs. And Donna was one actually still sleeping upstairs. And so when I went up to the top of the stairs to see, she was sound asleep as well. So yeah, they were really, really messing with me that day, making me think that the girls were up and dragging me all over the house and everybody's still sleeping. So just lots of different things that go on in the house.
What have other people caught there?
We did have a team, Northern Outer Realm Paranormal Society. They've been to the house, I don't know, 3-4 times, and they're coming again. I think one of the best evidences that I've seen people catch was they caught 2 shadow figures in the kitchen. So they just had it pointing, and nobody for their team, they told me they were all up in the upstairs or in the attic. So nobody had been downstairs at the particular time. It was in the living room, but facing into the kitchen doorway. So you saw like 2 shadow figures, almost like an older kid, maybe like 13, 14, adolescent age, and then something smaller, maybe 8, 9. So it was kind of like zoom, zoom really fast. You just saw the 2 figures go through the kitchen. And because I know the layout of the house, it's not car headlights the way that those transpired. There's no way headlights could have hit that through the house. We live on a corner, but we also live in a town of 170 people. So there's really not a lot going on in that particular town. So it was just really incredible.
100, wait a minute. 170
like
people?
170 people. And it's very farmy. So most of them actually live on farms. There's not a ton of people in town. We actually only have like 3 businesses in town, which of course every town has a bar, right? So there's a bar, a cafe, and like a post office. There's like nothing. There's not even a gas station.
Wow.
You have to drive literally to get to the town. You drive through nothing but cornfields, and all of a sudden, poof, here's the town of Boyd. And if you don't turn into it, you're never gonna see it.
So your advice would be to fill up be 30, 40 miles before you get there, top off your tanks, and then come on in.
Yeah, something like that. But I think the closest neighboring towns are like 10, 15 minutes away. So they're not super far away if you wanted something major. But yeah, it's interesting because the town back in the day, so the town was founded in like 1884, and that's like when my deed goes back to 1884. They were a really big, wild, booming West town. Like they had 500 and some people in their town. They had hotels, they had restaurants, they had, meat markets and grocery stores and a movie theater. And they were just hopping back in, the Wild West. The pictures, I have a lot of pictures hanging of the town from the 1900s. And, it's got it looks like an old Western movie, actually. And it was a big railroad town. So the tracks actually run right behind the house, and they still run today. But some of the main family that have lived in that house, we've done some research, and the town itself was butted up against the Sioux Dakota reservation line too. So I'm sure there was a lot of conflict with that back in the day. And but the main families who moved in that we have the most history on in 1912 is the Fred and Minnie Eckert, and we believe they are still there to this day. as I've gotten EVPs that saying, I'm Fred, here's Fred, Fred's coming. I never get Minnie to say her name, but I do feel that it really is her. They both passed away in the house, and they held Minnie's funeral in the home for 3 days. So I believe because they were also well-respected community members, Fred Eckert actually owned a very fancy dry goods store. So they had everything from fur coats to shoes to dry, fancy foods. They were very famous for making their own bologna. So just very well educated people. They helped on the school board, the fire department. They helped build the Lutheran church. So very, very well respected community. And I feel that that's why they still stay, because of all their involvement with the community and the house. 2 of their children have passed away in the home as well. One in infancy, and one was about 2 or 3, I believe. He choked to death. So we believe we get quite a bit of children activity, but I also feel we have like more older children activity, and I don't know where those kids come from. I've gotten the name Jacob and Luke, but I can't find any type of history on that particular names or anything. But they didn't keep the greatest records back then too. So yeah, they were the main people that were in the house. Yeah. And then we had another lady in the 70s that had passed away. Nothing tragic. But I've had a few mediums tell me too that some people have passed away from tuberculosis in the house, but you won't find that anywhere. So whether that's true or not. So yeah, we've had a few deaths, like I said, other than the little boy choking, nothing that we know have been tragic, but I have had a few references on a spirit box of somebody being stabbed. So I've had a few kind of references to that, and someone's like, find the body. So I don't know if there's some sort of unsolved mystery murder that we don't know about. So time will tell.
Well, you could have a murder mystery if you want to have an extra event. Invite some people to a murder, how to figure it out.
Yeah, there you go. That's a really good idea. Yeah, we've been talking about maybe doing some events. We had some stuff scheduled just, of course, before COVID hit, so we had to cancel all those. And then I just haven't really had the time to do stuff. But we said in 2023 we're gonna at least try for a really nice Halloween thing. So it's gonna take some time to get it figured out, but we're hoping to do an event there at that time.
I've heard of some locations actually in next week doing a New Year's event. Because people are always looking for someplace to put New Year's. The bars are all booked solid, so you could have invite a couple like the Paranormal group who's been there 4 or 5 times. You can always contact them. Say, hey, I'm here and just have a New Year's Eve get together and invest here at the house.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. Although that's pretty close, and I'm really slow at planning things, so maybe not this year. But yeah, that's a good idea. Even if you just, just do it together.
Yeah, exactly. Next year.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. Yeah, and we've had
if
fireworks,
go for a few.
There you go. Yeah, we've had quite a few repeat. We do have a lot of repeat people. I think the most time somebody's been there is like 5 times. So yeah, so that's good for me. It tells me that, people are enjoying the place and liking the place. We do have a guest book too. A lot of people write their stories and things that they, experienced at the house. Cause I don't always get to hear what's going on. So a lot of times I just myself have to like go on YouTube or Facebook and just kind of search my house. And because there's a lot of videos that come up, I'm like, well, I didn't see that one, so, and I love seeing what other people get, it's like my favorite thing to watch, the little shows and documentaries, because when we go to travel places, we make a little show that we put together, because I got into video editing because I just thought it was fun. To just kind of document our stuff, and I just do it for fun because I enjoy it. So, but watching other people's stuff, I'm just like, oh, that's so amazing. Or I get like, I'm like, oh, why can't I film like that? So it's like, it's just I enjoy it,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
yeah, it makes me happy that other people are getting stuff and they've enjoyed it. So that's kind of what it's all about for me.
Exactly. You're showing people a good time. You're they're getting evidence. So why shouldn't you have repeats? And that
Right.
repeats are good business because they talk about we had a great time. You wouldn't believe what we saw. And another group that's never been there before said, I wouldn't mind taking a crack at it. So I think you've got a good future ahead of you. You seem to be doing it right and treating people right and not overcharging them.
Yeah, we like I said, we try to keep that feasible for everyone. Of course, the economy we got to adjust to that, but I mean, I've had so many people who have other businesses. They're like, "Girl, you need to charge more," and I'm like, "I can't." Like, I feel like if you charge a lot, and I get that, like asylums and bigger buildings, and I understand the overhead, so I'm not knocking anybody's price by any means. But for me personally, I just kind of feel like I get more because I charge less versus a select few because only so many people can afford and that kind of thing. So again, not knocking anybody's prices because boy, if I could charge those prices, I totally would do it.
Well, as long as you're paying your utilities, you're keeping the water paid,
Right.
the
Yeah.
power on, any other
Yeah.
kind
And
of
I'm
heat
not
you have.
right. And I'm not at this point in the game. I'm not in it to make any money. It's just more for my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. I love the Boyd House. I love the spirits there. I love going down there. I love watching what other people get. So I want other people to experience. So pretty much every penny we have ever taken into that house has gone into restoring that house. We've had when we first got it, we had to put a new roof on it. We had to put gutters on it. We had
Of
things that
course.
break. We had to renovate it. So I
Mm,
I think right now I've probably put about $30,000 into upgrading that house. And so, you know, pretty much like I said, we just pay the bills with it and, do any renovations as we can. So,
exactly. So yeah, with inflation, you may have to. Yeah, I know you hate to do it, but you may have to increase, $20 or something. You
I
got to
know,
keep your
I know
bills paid.
we do. We do. I even told my husband, I go, we just ordered new brochures with the new price. I can't change that. So he said, next time don't order so many brochures. So
Yeah, raise the price when you send out your last brochure.
yeah, there you go.
Well, I really am thrilled to hear about it because I did not know about this location, and I'm loving all the information you're putting out there about it. And I wish you all the luck there is in the future. And it sounds like you've really got your act together at this place. I very I commend you a lot for this.
Well, thank you. Like I said, I really enjoy doing it. And for me too, I think because I'm there all the time, when you go to a lot of locations, you got your 12 hours, your 10 hours, you got your one shot. That's it. So you may or may not ever come back to that location. But I feel like I've made more of a breakthrough on my research because they do know me. They do understand what's going on. I have that rapport with them. We get other teams, they'll get EVPs of like, where's Jill? Things like that. So it's just incredible that they really are there. Sometimes it just blows my mind, like there is something there. They do talk to me, they do understand me. So it's just kind of fun. And sometimes I'll just, we go to conventions too to help promote the house. And if there's a good psychic medium there that that's well known or something, I'll swing by and see if they can do a little read on the house. And so I've done a couple now, and it's been kind of fun just to hear what they say. There was one gentleman, his name was Greg. I can't think of his last name, so I apologize for that. But I just happened to stop and talk to him, and he said that, oh, I go around and I investigate, do my thing, and then I'll have a team come in, and then we'll collaborate and see if we get the same stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, you do that? I'd love to do that with my house. And it was weird because then he just locked eyes with me and he just started telling me all this weird stuff about my house. So he didn't even have to go there, but it was just really kind of incredible. But yeah, he was just saying like the woman there, that she really likes you, she appreciates you. But I thought what was really weird is and I didn't tell the guy anything. Like, I didn't say, hey, I renovated this house. I did, like, we were just talking, and then, up came the house. And he goes, yeah, there was a time when somebody was wallpapering and they didn't know what they were doing, and the spirits were laughing. They thought it was hysterical. Well, my husband and I have never wallpapered a day in our life. We YouTubed on how to do this. So let's just say it did not go very smoothly. And there's some arguing and things going on and things done incorrectly. So yeah, it's just kind of funny that he would say that. So now I look back on it, I'm like, you got to remember, you're never alone in that house. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, so they're watching, they know what we're doing. They're very intelligent. I've held up, like, you get those little blocks with the numbers on them and stuff. I'll hold them up and I'll say, what number is this? And the spirit box will tell you what number is that. We learned because their grandson of the Eckert's family, the grandson still lives in town. He's 70 something now. But he told us a whole bunch of stories about his grandparents. So that's kind of cool. We can get that little rapport going. Things that you would never find in a book. Well, we learned that Minnie she loved cards. She loved to gamble. That was just kind of her fun thing to do. We found out that the ghosts really like to play cards, particularly 21, and she will use that K2 meter to a T to play 21. Like, she will tell you hit or stay. So we usually say hit the K2 if you want to hit. And it is always dead on all the time. Like, she doesn't say hit when you're like at 20 or anything like that. So one time I thought, well, I'm going to run the spirit box while we do this. Let's see if we can talk at the same time we were doing the card game. So we did that, and they had a pretty good, I can't remember the numbers, but it was pretty good numbers. I'm like, you want to stay or you want to split? And plain as day, that spirit box said stay. So it's like, it was nuts. It was actually another paranormal team that I saw do that, which gave me the idea to continue with that. So they do that. And the time I did it, I brought like all these old coins, and I had like this old gold coin. And I had been playing cards with him on and off night. The REM pod on the table was going on and off all night with the cards. But I had always pushed one card to the side, to the end of the table, not hanging over, but just to the edge of the table. And I'm like, if you've enjoyed tonight's card game, just throw this card off the table. Really appreciate it. Let me know that you had a fun tonight. I said that for the very last time when I went to bed at midnight, and 15 minutes later, after I exited the basement, that card flew off the table. And what was really, I actually caught that on film. So I was pretty excited about that. I was more excited when I came downstairs and saw the card on the table on the floor, that I picked it up and started jumping up and down. I was thanking them. And then I said, do you want to know what the card was? And I held it up. I just like, so yeah, that was really good. But yeah, we get a lot of direct interaction onto what you're doing. So they're watching you. So when you're there, they're there. Wow. They might not be saying something, but they're watching you.
You ever fire up the program Echovox in there?
We haven't done the Echovox. What is it? Teresa uses another app similar to that, GhostTube, I think. So she's used the GhostTube, which I'm not I'm old school, so I kind of feel like I'm not a believer in the apps. I think they're kind of fun, but I take them with a grain of salt. I'm old school with the evidence, but there's been some things on that just are crazy. That it's like, how is that even in the word bank? I think we were using it at the house, and we had talked about the group. We had said St. Croix Paranormal, but we on that box it said, or on the ghost tube it said St. Croix Paranormal, which was really odd that it would even say our team name. It was plain as day. But we also have a supposed
Mhm.
haunted painting that we acquired. It was actually a lady who found it on the side of a road, on a road with her husband. It was next to a tree and a bunch of red chairs, and that in the painting itself is a monkey on red chairs, and there's a tree, and there's a really weird door in the background. It is like the weirdest, oddest, creepiest painting you've ever seen. But they took it home. He hung it in the garage. He became obsessed with the painting, like literally obsessed with the painting. It also has a story about monkeys written around the frame, so you actually have to read it and turn it to read the story. She would never read it. She felt like she was going to summon something, and she always felt like something was staring at her, like something evil through that painting. Unfortunately,
Wow.
her husband did commit suicide in front of this painting, which she couldn't figure out
Ooh.
why. I mean, not saying that, you can't be depressed and act normal, but she was like, he had a good job, we have kids, our marriage was great. I just don't he was just so obsessed with that stupid painting. So she got it out of there, she gave it to us, we took it, of course. The day we brought it there, we said on the spirit box, what do you think of this painting? And it said, monkey evil, get rid of it. That was like the first things out of the spirit box. It's still to this day, it says monkey evil. They don't like that painting. I personally haven't had anything weird happen with the painting. We did tell it had to stay in that room, however, that we put it in, that it couldn't leave the room. Um, Ironically, we don't have power to that room anymore since I've hung up that painting. I have not had an electrician out to figure out why, because I figure everybody's ghost hunting, so it doesn't really matter because nobody turns the light on. But that's just kind of oddball to me that all of a
True.
sudden I have no power in that room. So someone said you should move the painting to another room and see if you lose power. And I thought, no, because then I
That's
have to
weird.
pay an electrician, and I don't want to pay for that.
Exactly.
So yes. And then I take it out of that room. We banned it to that room. It has to stay there. So I don't want it roaming around.
Right. Exactly.
So,
If it is going, if you
yeah.
take it to another room, it's going to feel like it can go from that room to the other room. Even if you take
Right,
it back to the
right.
original room, it still feels.
Yeah.
You're
So
basically giving it
we
permission to
said that
roam
had to
around,
go
and
there. Yeah. And we have a lot of different haunted items. I've gotten everybody calls it the house of creepy dolls, and it is. I just get obsessed with these creepy, stupid dolls, and I'll buy them if they say that they're haunted. Not every story, but I've had a couple, like a weird. I actually had a lady who was at a convention I was at. She's like, "Oh, I got a bunch of creepy haunted dolls I don't want anymore. Do you want to buy them?" I'm like, "Oh, sure," But she had one that she I purchased, and she had a little wristband on her with her name on it. It was just like a little string, like tied to her, almost like thread, elasticy type thing. I put her in my van, and I came back a couple hours later because I had to put something in there, and that bracelet had exploded. Like it was all over the van. So it's not like if it had just fallen off, a few
wow.
little numbers, but it was everywhere. Like her name is Doty, Doty. They were everywhere. Like one was over here, one was over there. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like maybe she does not want to go back with me. I don't know. And then we had another one that came from a psychic institute. So they had done research on her. She didn't know much other than that. But when I got her the first day I brought her to the house, I had set her in a chair. She doesn't sit, she stands only. And I kind of heard I had my back turned, and I heard like some scratching going on, like movement. And I'm like, what's that? I turn and I look, and she like literally just like that. And I was like, okay, she just moved. So it's like, So yeah, she's there. So we have all kinds of different things that we don't really know what else we've brought into the house. So um, yeah.
Really? So, yeah, you've got an amazing place. I love the way you're running it. I think you've got a bright future. And just remember one thing: when you enjoy your job, when you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Right, exactly. Yep. Yep. Even though when I go there and I work from sun up to
And
sundown as
that's
far
what
as
you are.
yep, it's just it doesn't feel like work to me, even though I'm, because I'm there, I'm enjoying what I'm doing and talking to my spirits and visiting and I'll even tell them like if I see a video or maybe they'll tell me something or send me something, I'll say, "Hey, yeah, I liked what you did with Joe last week. That really freaked him out. That was super cool." So we got that good thing going.
Cool. That is so cool. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is uh, I got to hold it to under. We got 50, just past 53 minutes mark. Uh, what I'm going to do is hold it to 59 minutes, and I'm going to repeat this show Saturday night when I do a little Christmas special.
Okay.
Uh, I can go ahead and show this show again Saturday night, but I have to keep it under an hour. So, is there anything else you would like to tell the world about your location?
Well, we like to call it a fun, creepy, elegant place to spend with ghosts. So, if you're interested, definitely hit us up. We'd love to have you. We'd love to see your evidence and see what kind of stuff you get. Just remember when you come to be really respectful to the spirits, just as if they were alive again. We don't really want provoking or I just feel like you're going to get a better rapport with a spirit if you're talking to them as a human being, as if they were there. My particular team, even when we travel to other locations, we no longer try to focus on the death of a spirit because really, who wants to rehash how you died? Because I probably wouldn't. So we like to focus more on
No.
their life and what they've done and what they've accomplished, things that they wish they would have done. I've asked spirits like, "What was your favorite fondest memory?" Things like that. So you just kind of get to know them and what was their hobbies, what they do in their spare time. So I think spirits tend to like that a little bit more, and it becomes more on a personal level. I think when you get with that, and like I said, with my Boyd spirits, just getting to know what they like and even like I heard somebody say that they like elephants, so I bought them a stuffed elephant. So yeah, if you come there, they like toys and
There you
presents
go.
and stuff. So.
Whatever works.
That's right. Yes, yes, but always be respectful no matter where you go, because I think you're going to get a lot more stuff going on for you.
All right, let's go ahead and wind it up here. www.boydhouse217.com, or they can find you on Facebook, and they can also find the Boyd House on Facebook. Is that correct?
Yep, yep. You can find us on Facebook, or you can email us at theboydhouse217 at Yahoo. So there's many, many ways you can get a hold of us. Our website's got kind of all our information, a lot of pictures for you to see, a little video we put together, and then it's got our calendar availability. So it's pretty easy to get a booking with us.
Very cool. And sometime when you have a chance, you make me about a 30-second video advertising. Glad to show you when I'm doing a little advertising. I didn't do any tonight's show. We're trying to hold it to a minimum time. So just crank up a 30-second video advertising your place. Maybe throw a few pictures in it, or whatever you want.
Yeah, sure. I might actually have something already, so I'll look and see, and I can do that tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you and yours to have a very Merry Christmas.
Thanks, you as well.
And we will see you again, because I'd
Yeah,
love to talk to you again next year, have you on the show again, and see what's going on next year
yeah, I'd love to do
at the Boyd
that.
House.
Definitely for sure.
All right. Well, good night. And like I said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, same to you, Len. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody. That's the end of our show tonight. We'll be repeating this show Saturday night at its usual time at 10 o'clock. And then I will continue doing a show at 11 as soon as this one's over to just a little Christmas special. Right now, we're going to end this really quick before I run into an hour. Bones, get us out of here.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Good night, everybody.